Hey, good morning, everyone. It is Saturday. What am I doing on a Saturday? I don't know. Getting ready to go to Guatemala, actually. Um, so that's going to be pretty exciting. I'm just making sure that I'm actually live. Don't see anything yet. If you see it before me, shoot me a comment or a text. Let me know. Okay. Yeah, looks like we're live. So this is a fun one, very much impromptu. So I was at CD the Computational Design for Additive Manufacturing conference in Brooklyn, put on by Duan Scott, and it was amazing. Got to meet a lot of people, and one of the presentations, and there were so many amazing ones, but one of the presentations was about this structure called a spherene structure, and I really had no idea what it was, but it looked super cool. Kind of looked like a gyroid. I'm sorry, Daniel, if you're watching. That's just me from the outside looking in, but it's not a gyroid. The idea it is a truly isotropic structure that allows for strength in all directions in stress and strain. So it almost like pushes and pulls against itself, is the best that I can describe it from a non engineering perspective. So I started playing around with it, and it really is very, very interesting. So typically, or it is a structure that's used. Best used in probably metal, but there are some options as you go into TPU. Well, um, I was so excited to play with the structure. I was like, okay, I've got to try to print this with FDM. And I just struggled. I had a my old Lulzbot, which I love my old Lulzbot, but didn't really do what I needed it to do. And then I I have a bad habit with printers. So I have Bamboo A1 Mini and a Bamboo A1 that actually came in. And so I started printing this with as a TPU style structure. There's a ton of retractions and it's really not a great structure for TPU. However, what I found, it was very, very interesting, the results. So my first spherine structure was actually this. This is a baseball tee, and I'm going to try to get this as close as possible. So this printed solid with solid, not a solid infill, but like a gyroid infill, typically is about 100 to 110 grams. This printed in the Spherene structure, and it has very similar properties, maybe a little bit squishier, if that is a term, weighs like 22 grams. And so I was like, wow. So if it's that much material difference and still structurally sound, why wouldn't you use it? Now it's kind of goofy looking for this baseball tee. It's not real. This is not really the right application, but this was me playing around literally just a few days after CD Fam. So then uh been talking with Daniel some from Spherene, and he mentioned that especially in powder bed fusion, there is some interesting compression um, attributes to the Spherene structure. So I'm actually going to pull this Spherene structure up so I can just let you look at it real quick. Share screen. I'm going to share this window. Share. So this is the website spherene.ch, and I don't know how other to describe it. Very, very wild um, look to it, but it does compress. It does lightweight, but it does have a very nice feel as far as in TPU. And so, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is access to the developing world for prostheses. And so, one of the things, though, is how do you use less material, and can a 3D printed foot be a viable option in the developing world, specifically in TPU? And we've seen a couple options for that, which is pretty neat. One was with Arthur Hobden and Tewu from Dynalim, and they have a TPU foot that they do that is really neat. And so that's kind of what um, through the work that I do with specifically with partial feet with similar geometries and such, really led me down. Like, can we get away with, instead of a gyroid, for lack of a better term, dumb structure? Can we get away with a structure that is used as an infill, but that is actually a structure with purpose? And I think that is what's interesting. So I'm going to stop share of this screen. I got to get my mouse to the right screen here. There we go. So we're going to stop share here, and then we're just going to go to share screen here. And we're going to go to this screen. So this is a foot that we have designed. It's a fully parametric heel toe. We're actually looking at doing a Spherene structure throughout, but for the time being, this is the very interesting to us. But instead of doing a gyroid infill, we are going to be doing a Spherene infill um, here in the future. And why does that matter? Trying to get my mouse. There it goes. It's very intentional. So these structures all push out, and so you can see a lineup, and they call these the volcanoes. So it's the little holes that come out. So all of them come around all the outside of the structure, and then you can see the volcanoes here, also pushing out to the bottom. And so with that structure, you're able to get a very similar stiffness as to a very dense gyroid infill. But hey, Abdallah, take a look at this. And before you tell me how bad these prints are, just know that this is my first print, first two prints, literally my first two prints off the Bamboo A1 Mini with a TPU that I had never used before. So a little torch will clean this up, but look at the difference. So this is a solid infill piece, 199 grams. And then the one to the left is the one with the Spherene structure, 171 grams. And that's with me not knowing what I'm doing for optimizing for the Spherene structure. So I think that what's interesting about that is you have essentially a 30-gram difference. So 30 grams times 5 is roughly 150 grams. So you can save roughly 150 grams per spool of material. And it would almost, depending on what size foot you print, get you a free foot out of the same spool. And so this is what makes it really exciting for me. And this structure may not be the option or may not be the answer specifically for what we're doing, but optimizing a structure inside the foot to get the properties that you want to save material is really, really important. So, um, I have actually both feet, and so they're. This was also interesting. I was trying two different orientations. So, one of the things that I believe that is very important is many people will do a flat foot. Actually, let me take this off here. This mouse is being crazy. Okay. So many people will do a flat foot, and I just for those that so you can wear that barefoot, but when you put it into a shoe, a flat foot would rock inside a shoe. So it is important to have a heel height. And the other thing is, many people will print the foot in this orientation, which potentially can create some shear stresses going across. So this particular foot, and you can see the scarring was actually printed on the bed like this. And but you can see that there's the lines are then going perpendicular to the or they're going to the line of progression, and those forces like this are not then shear forces with the layer height. The other thing that's very interesting is I used an adaptive layer height from bamboo. So through the middle of the foot, you can see that those lines are much, much thicker. And so they get thicker and push out a bunch of fluid or filament um, and then get thinner towards the top. So then I was like, okay, let me try this spherine structure, see what happens. But as you can see, I did not intentionally do this as a two-tone, but I didn't want to waste this filament, especially in an experimental stage. So I did a quick change, and Bamboo did an amazing job, actually, starting where it's left off. And so here we have the same foot, but printed in this orientation. So you can see a lot of scarring on the bottom here. Um, but it looks pretty good, and function is good. So I think it's a matter of testing, really, of is there an orientation that actually matters. But what I can tell you is that foot is noticeably lighter with this spherine structure, and still feels like a solid or a more solid infill structure. So I think there's something to the spherine structures. Bottom line is, I don't know what it is, other than you can potentially save material and still keep your strength. So what I'm going to do is um, see if we can take some questions, and um, if there are any, and if not, then we just kind of end it there. But check out the spherine structure, and we will catch you later. And I'll keep you posted on the spherine style.